Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for Sprague Energy's Market Brief. This is March 2nd. I'm Taylor Hudson, joined by Hugh McNaughton. So actually, the past week and a half, we've actually seen some excitement in the markets. We was getting fairly boring there for a while, just going straight up day after day after day. I've had a little bit of excitement and actually had a couple of days where the market moved down. Wanted to start with some chart views, and we'll start with the most bullish chart over the last week and a half, which is the gasoline. Last time we spoke, RBOB was trading at about 326.30. Over the course of the last week, we've been as low as 320 and as high as 339. Currently, the market's sitting at about 328, which is a couple of cents higher than when we last spoke. On this chart, 339 will act as near-term resistance if the bulls push this market higher. And on the support side, you've got the 9-day moving average right where we are now, 328 and a quarter, 18-day moving average about 321. Moving on to WTI crude. Last time we spoke, the market was trading 106.28. We moved up and flirted with $110 resistance, came off that level, broke the 9-day average, went all the way down to about 105. Yesterday, went all the way back up to 110, couldn't close there, and we're currently sitting at roughly the same levels we were when we last did the market update, 106. And finally, if we look at 2-oil, this chart has lost the most over the last week and a half. We've gone from about 327 close on the 22nd down to a closing price today, or a trading range today, of about 321. Just like gasoline and crude, we did move higher after our brief, but the 331.76 level was the level that the market just couldn't get through. We tried it last week, and we tried it again this week. And we are now just under the 18-day moving average, and those averages will work as somewhat of an upside resistance level. And the next major support probably isn't really down here till about 313, and I think most of our listeners would love to see us move there. So what we decided today is we could give a standard sort of stock explanation for all of this, all these price movements, worries about Iran, economic optimism, even refinery downtime. But we figure most of our listeners have heard those stories, read those stories. So instead, we developed our own internal theory as to what's been going on in the markets the last week. And what's exciting about it is it involves the highest levels of government around the world. So in order to really showcase this theory, we're going to have Hugh sort of step through the week, and we're going to focus in on the 2-oil chart, daily 2-oil chart. So we've just zoomed in here, folks, and those candlestick that you are seeing in front of you are really only the last 6 days of trading. So Hugh, would you mind setting the stage for us here?
No, Taylor, not at all. Here we go. After reaching highs last Friday that we hadn't seen in the 10 months previously, we, on hindsight, especially with the advantage of hindsight, saw a bunch of profit taken and a hugely oversold market set in, especially after new IMF and G20 warnings came out about the negative impact of the negative economic impact of high prices. Particularly, by the way, on European consumers who are now paying prices in euros higher, as I think we noted maybe a week or so ago, than they were paying at the peak of the 2008 run-up. Tuesday, the next day, those same concerns about the economy persisted. They pushed prices sharply lower, reinforced by a massive European Central Bank offering of $750 billion worth of liquidity to stimulate growth. And that just really put the icing on the cake, except that by the end of the day, there were already warning signs maybe that profit-taking could have been playing a bigger role than anticipated. Finally, Wednesday, the rally modestly resumed. especially again after some more economic news out of the U.S. and China, and particularly a strong Federal Reserve report. The heating oil contract was really the only part of the complex that finished negative, in fact, leaving some traders worried about their length. Then let's see, Thursday. Now we have some real excitement.
Yeah, this was a real interesting day to be a market observer, huh, Hugh?
Sure.
Massive range on the day of more than 13 cents, and I think you're going to give us a little update on the story that really pushed this thing.
What happened here is late in the day there was an Iranian state news agency, an impartial news source, I'm sure we'll all agree.
Yes.
That enlivened the afternoon and evening with a report of a major pipeline explosion in Saudi Arabia, setting off near panic buying at one point that had Brent crude oil prices up 5% in a matter of probably less than an hour, the highest since July 2008. What really transpired was that the Iran's state press TV came out with a headline stating that an explosion destroyed oil pipelines in eastern Saudi Arabia, the center of Saudi oil production and refining activity, where much of the Shiite-dominated Qatif area opposed to Sunni leadership has been the subject of unrest in the past. As the evening and night wore on, and this was denied by Saudi sources, selling began, and that continued throughout today.
So today we've seen even more of a pullback, and at least on the heating oil chart, we've seen a reversal of the gains that we had yesterday off of this press release. So I guess the long traders might not be out of the woods yet. They might be subject to some margin calls. The heat may still be on.
But I think you can see some relief out there on their part.
However, we want the readers to note that this Sunday and Monday, some pretty important meetings happening in Washington, D.C. between the Israeli Prime Minister and the U.S. President. No doubt these meetings are already being spoken of in the news releases, and we should see more of that on Monday. That's a good, probably depending on the remarks after those meetings, in particular with the stance to Iran and U.S. support for it. Will probably be driving the news wires then.
No doubt.
Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us, and we hope everyone has a great weekend. One final thing, we have not gotten the number of emails that we would really like to get at marketintel@spraguenergy.com, so take 2 minutes and shoot us an email and tell us what you think or what you would like for us to talk about. Have a great weekend, Hugh.
Yeah, Taylor, same to you, and we'll go from there.